she said plainly, not a lunch order. The room stiffened. Even the committee members who had been half-scrolling through their phones were now locked in. Chairman Dupont adjusted his glasses, eyes drifting to Patel's lawyer, still silent. "Mr. Patel," the chairman said after clearing his throat, "you may answer the question or invoke your Fifth Amendment rights. But let me remind you, this committee treats perjury seriously." The word perjury hung in the air like smoke after a spark. "There's no perjury," Patel growled through clenched teeth. "This is a smear job, and frankly, you're not sitting here because we want to play games," Jasmine interrupted, calm but unflinching. "You're here because something doesn't add up, and Americans deserve clarity." Her words sliced clean. No need to raise her voice. The weight was in the precision. Patel looked to the chairman, then down at the desk. His lawyer leaned in, whispering fast. Patel listened, lips drawn tight. The cameras caught every second. On screen, Jasmine sat composed, laser-focused. Patel, by contrast, was hunched, sweating. Upstairs, interns clipped the moment for social media. Down the hall, reporters huddled around monitors. "Is that real?" one asked, pointing at the timestamp. "It checks out," another muttered, already texting an editor. "That memo wasn't even part of Discovery. Someone leaked it." Inside the chamber, Patel finally spoke. "There's no conspiracy here," he snapped. "The memo was just a draft. It didn't go anywhere." "Then why?" Jasmine asked, leaning forward. "Did you lie under oath about its existence?" Patel's lawyer finally cut in. "Objection to the characterization. That assumes facts, not an evidence." "This isn't a courtroom," Jasmine said, eyes never leaving Patel. "And the facts are right in front of us." Silence. A mic popped faintly. Someone coughed. "You knew this wouldn't stay buried forever," she added, voice now low, almost gentle. "You just didn't think anyone would check." Before Patel could answer, Chairman Dupont called for a recess. That's when the panic truly began. As soon as the gavel fell, Patel bolted upright. He didn't wait for the cameras to cut. Didn't wait for his lawyer. He yanked the mic off his lapel, muttered something under his breath, and stormed toward the consultation room. His lawyer followed, whispering fiercely. The camera stayed wide, catching a glimpse of Patel's face as he passed behind the chairwoman's desk. Tense, red, shaken. Inside the private room, the door clicked shut. No cameras, no audio. But two aides outside later said Patel's voice carried through the walls. "What the hell is going on out there?" he snapped. "How did she even get that memo? That wasn't supposed to be on the record. It was buried. I know it was buried." His attorney didn't answer right away. He flipped open his laptop, eyes scanning a server access log. "Someone gave it to her," he said finally, tapping a line of code. "This isn't public domain. This came from someone close." "You think Devlin flipped?" "I think it doesn't matter. What matters is you shut this down before she brings out whatever's next." Back in the hearing room, Jasmine hadn't moved. She hadn't checked her phone once. Brenda leaned in. That got him rattled. Jasmine nodded slightly. He's hiding something bigger. Across the chamber, whispers filled the air. The hearing wasn't even halfway through, but every major reporter in the building was glued to the feed. The hashtag True Patel vs. Crockett was already trending. Phones buzzed. TikToks exploded. Clips of Patel's stunned face paired with ominous music. 15 minutes later, the committee reconvened. Patel returned, slower this time. The swagger was gone. He looked like a man fresh out of a bad meeting. Jasmine barely looked up. "Mr. Patel?" she began. "Let's go back to your earlier comment. The memo was just a draft. You said it didn't go anywhere. But this is a reply from Mr. Devlin 2 hours after your message, and I quote, 'Understood. I'll make sure the committee never sees this version.'" Patel glanced at his lawyer. No movement. He inhaled. "That doesn't prove intent," he said. "That's a misinterpretation." "Intent is something juries debate," Jasmine replied. "We're asking what happened. And that response doesn't scream transparency. His voice cracked. This is all out of context. You keep saying that, Jasmine said, but you haven't offered a single example of what the real context is. Behind the press table, a low murmur. The chairman gave a quick rap of the gavel. Patel narrowed his eyes. You're not asking questions. You're staging a performance. Is that your final answer? Jasmine asked, raising her brow. I'm saying this is political theater. The word theater triggered a ripple. Chairman DuPont leaned in. Mr. Patel, please stick to the facts being presented. But Patel wasn't listening anymore. You people already made up your minds, he barked. You think a couple emails and texts corner me? I've been in more classified briefings than anyone here. You think this matters? Jasmine set her papers down slowly. No, she said. It's not the emails that cornered you, it's your words, on the record, on camera, repeatedly. If you'd been transparent from the start, none of this would matter. The tension in the room was visible now. Patel's hand gripped the table. DuPont shifted. I've had enough, Patel said, rising. This whole thing is a setup, a cherry-picked narrative built for headlines. He didn't storm out this time. He just turned and walked, cold, deliberate. The chairman reminded him he was obligated to remain until dismissed, but Patel didn't stop. As the door closed behind him, Jasmine's aide slid a thin folder across the table. She opened it, and the hearing took a darker turn. He walked out, cool, silent, confirming everything without a word. News cycles used to spin fast. But this was wildfire. Back in the chamber, Jasmine stood quietly with Brenda and a young aide, Derek Flores. Derek looked like a man standing next to a nuclear launch panel. I don't want to release it unless he comes back, Jasmine said, tapping the folder with her index finger. But if he doesn't, we go. Brenda nodded. He will. His lawyer's too smart to let him hang himself like that. He already has, Jasmine replied. 10 minutes passed, then 20. In that time, 2 networks dropped their scheduled programming. This wasn't a C-SPAN feed anymore. This was prime time. Anchor desks, legal analysts, full panels. One former prosecutor in Boston didn't hedge. If what Reppers Crocker has is legit, Patel doesn't need a lawyer. He needs a deal. Outside room 2140, Patel's attorney paced like a man watching the roof cave in. 2 aides flanked him, one on the phone, one hammering a keyboard. He has to come back, the attorney muttered. Walking out live, that's already bad, but if she's got more... He needs to get ahead of it, the assistant said. Where is he? In a car, 2 blocks away. Says he needs a minute. He doesn't have a minute. Too late. Back in the hearing room, Jasmine returned to the table and quietly asked the chairman to reconvene. Patel's seat remained empty. She didn't waste a syllable. We've confirmed the contents of this next document with committee counsel and 2 independent cybersecurity analysts, she began. It's an internal memo from Mr. Patel's personal email server dated March 16th. Subject line, deconfliction plan, avoid traceable channels. She let it hang. Brenda tapped a key. The memo appeared on the digital screen behind them, black and white, clinical. Let the record show, Jasmine said. This document outlines strategies to avoid FOIA exposure, including burner phones, encrypted apps, and alternate scheduling protocols designed to bypass calendar tracking. She turned to the empty seat. This was authored 2 days after Mr. Patel testified that no such tactics were ever employed. Silence. Outside, the crowd was growing, not because people had planned to protest, but because it was happening live and they were reacting. They still didn't know Jasmine was holding the biggest card. Not yet. 15 minutes later, Patel returned. No storming, no posturing. Just a quiet entrance through the side door, coat still off, face hollowed out. The swagger was gone. The hearing resumed. Chairman DuPont didn't offer pleasantries. Mr. Patel, The committee has reviewed additional material during your absence. You may respond. Patel spoke low, measured. I'd like to clarify a few things. Some of the language in those documents was never meant to be taken literally. Jasmine looked up. So you're saying it was metaphor? A beat. I'm saying people in my position speak informally when outlining risk. Burner phones? Jasmine asked flatly. Encrypted scheduling? Off-grid calendars? It's not what it sounds like. Earlier you testified there were no written communications. Patel turned to his lawyer. Do I have to keep answering questions framed like that? His lawyer stayed silent. Chairman DuPont answered instead. Yes. You're under oath, Mr. Patel. Something shifted in Patel's posture. Not rage, not defiance. Resignation. He leaned toward the mic. Slowly. I was following a playbook, he said. One we all understood. One that worked. A quiet ripple moved through the chamber. Jasmine's fingers tensed around her pen. And who is we, Mr. Patel? He didn't answer right away. Brenda looked toward Jasmine. They all felt it. He was seconds from naming names. The policy team, he said finally. At least 5 of us. And were you instructed to keep those communications off the record? His voice dropped. Yes. By whom? He shook his head. I'd rather not say here. Jasmine didn't push. Not yet. But the hearing room had transformed. From spectacle to reckoning. Outside, cable anchors were stunned. Patel confirms. Off-the-record ops. 5 involved. Crocker demands names. In a middle school in Spokane, a civics teacher paused the day's lesson, pulled up the live stream. This, she told her class, is what government oversight is supposed to look like. Jasmine leaned forward. We're going to pause here, Mr. Patel. Not because you've said enough, but because there's one more document that needs to be entered into the record, and I want you to hear it fully. Brenda tapped a key. The screen changed. A text chain. Black background, white font, sender, W staff line. Message. Make sure we don't mention it in email. If she asks, deny. She won't follow up. Patel stared at it, then said something that jolted the room. I didn't write that. Jasmine didn't blink. It came from your phone. It was spoofed, or maybe, I don't know. I never sent that. Brenda pulled up a metadata report. We traced the phone's unique ID to your device. The timestamp matches your secure login. Patel rubbed his face. This is insane. I swear I didn't. Then help us understand who did, Jasmine said. Silence. I want a lawyer, he said. You already have one. I want another one. Chairman DuPont leaned forward, gavel in hand. Then we are suspending the hearing for legal consultation. The room exploded. Not with shouting, but a stunned, vibrating tension. Brenda leaned in. That wasn't the most explosive thing. I know, Jasmine replied. That's next. Outside, reporters scrambled. They knew what was coming, the recording. Jasmine hadn't mentioned it. No one had. But someone had queued it up, ready to play. Inside, Patel sat silently in a side room staring at the floor. His lawyer whispered, You've got one chance to explain it before they do. In the hearing chamber, Jasmine sat with a printout of the transcript from the audio file. Her lips were pressed, not in anger, but in calculation. We hold it until the chairman returns, she told Brenda. He's going to want it on the record. It took nearly an hour to get everyone back. By the time the members returned, the building felt like a courthouse. Journalists jammed shoulder to shoulder. Aides from other offices slipped in, pretending to be on official business. Everyone knew the next moment could fracture careers, rewrite headlines, and possibly bring down more than just Patel. Chairman DuPont tapped the gavel, 3 clean strikes that cut through the low hum of the room. We resume today's hearing with new evidence submitted by Representative Crockett. Proceed. Jasmine adjusted her mic, her expression calm but razor-edged. What you're about to hear was recovered from an internal Zoom training session recorded last year. She turned toward Patel. Mr. Patel, you hosted this session while serving as a senior advisor. During the meeting, you outlined internal communication protocols, is that correct? Patel didn't answer. The silence swelled. Chairman DuPont spoke again. Mr. Patel, please respond. His voice, when it came, was flat. If you say it's from a session, I won't deny it. Good, Jasmine replied, without a flicker of triumph. Because we've queued a specific portion. It's 45 seconds long. She gave a subtle nod to Brenda. The lights dimmed slightly. A pause. Then, Patel's voice flooded the chamber, clear and cocky. A man with no fear of consequences. Keep comms clean. If it even looks questionable, run it through. Signal. Never email. And if anyone asks later, deny, unless you're cornered. A gasp rippled through the room. Not loud, but collective, visceral. The kind of sound that says, oh, there's more. Jasmine didn't flinch. She let the silence hang, then nodded again. Another clip. Shorter. Sharper. We don't write this stuff down, that's how people end up in hearings. You want cover, use private channels. You want risk, go formal, your choice. All eyes turned to Patel. He looked down, still, hollow. His lawyer leaned in, whispered. Patel didn't react. Chairman DuPont leaned forward. Mr. Patel, that voice, is it yours? A beat. Then, yes, Patel said, barely audible. Do you retract any of those statements? A pause. No. Jasmine leaned closer to the mic. Let the record show. These were not offhand remarks. They were instructions, issued by someone with clearance, by someone who knew better. Patel said nothing. Chairman DuPont raised the gavel. This hearing will now enter an extended review phase. Testimony will be submitted to the Oversight Committee. Legal counsel will coordinate with the Department of Justice. Gavel. Bang. Just like that, the story shifted, from scandal to criminal exposure. Outside, satellite trucks powered up. Inside, Jasmine leaned toward Brenda. We weren't even looking for that clip, she whispered. It came in anonymously. Brenda blinked. Someone sent it? No, Jasmine said softly. Someone wanted it found. And that changed everything. Because whoever leaked that clip knew exactly what it would do. And still pulled the trigger. While the media picked apart every second, while Patel's name trended beside cover-up and perjury, something else was unfolding, beneath the headlines. 2 weeks earlier, 4 blocks from the Capitol, in the basement of the Intelligence Subcommittee staff wing, Melinda Kash, 28, sharp-eyed and invisible in the way only good staffers are, sat among aging file boxes and mismatched chairs. Her job was thankless, cross-referencing transcripts, fixing metadata, resorting digital files no one touched since 2007. But she had a habit. She listened. And one afternoon, she overheard something. 2 senior staffers laughing, joking about a ghost drive, pocket-sized off-record, never acknowledged. Just a whisper of a name, W staff line. They laughed. She didn't. Melinda started digging, old transcripts, file headers, metadata trails. The phrase popped up, barely 4 times, but every path led to one inbox, Patel's. She tugged the thread. And the whole sleeve came off. Melinda told no one, not her supervisor. Not her roommate. She just printed what she found, clean, unaltered, and slipped it into an unmarked envelope. It sat in her apartment for 4 days. Then on her day off, she walked into Representative Crockett's district office in Dallas, handed it to a staffer at the front desk and simply said, "Give this to her, no one else." Back in D.C., Jasmine didn't know who had sent the packet. She only knew the documents were clean, untouched by any congressional server. 3 independent tech specialists verified it. Then came the audio file, sent separately, encrypted, no metadata, no trail. But the voice was Patel's. No question. The date, almost a year before the hearing. Whoever had sent it, They wanted the truth out. But they weren't ready to reveal themselves. Not yet. Now, in the quiet aftermath of Patel's collapse, Jasmine sat in her office, staring at a whiteboard, covered in names, arrows, and dates. Brenda paced behind her. "If there were 5 people involved," she said, "and Patel's the only one we've confirmed, who's protecting the others?" "He didn't build this alone," Jasmine replied. "He followed a playbook. Somebody wrote it." Brenda paused. "You think Devlin flips?" Jasmine nodded slowly. "If he thinks he's the last man holding the bag? Yeah, eventually. That same night, across the river in Arlington in a quiet brownstone, Rob Devlin, 46, ex-policy coordinator turned fixer, sat at a desk with a burner phone beside him. Not flashy, not loud, just the kind of guy who made problems disappear before they made headlines. The phone buzzed. Once unknown number. One word. Tomorrow. Devlin didn't move, just stared at the screen, then exhaled, long and quiet. He knew. This wasn't over. The next morning, Jasmine arrived to find a new envelope. Waiting, no markings, no name. Inside, one single sheet of paper, printed in bold. Check your server logs from March 17th. You missed something. Brenda read it over her shoulder. They're still feeding us. Jasmine frowned. Or baiting us. Jasmine closed the folder slowly. Not because she was finished, but because someone thought Kash Patel would take the fall. And when he didn't go down quietly, they panicked. That night, Jasmine drove the long way home. Through Bethesda. Not because she had to, but because sometimes distance gives shape to the truth. And somewhere between the streetlights and the low hum of an old jazz station, she realized this wasn't about one man. Not anymore. It wasn't just a shady memo or a rogue official. This was a machine. Quiet, polished, buried in routine. A system built not to deceive but to disappear. One that ran on silence. One that was never supposed to be seen. But someone looked too closely. And now the seams were showing. The Patel hearing didn't end with headlines. It stuck. Not because of the documents, not even because of the audio. It was the pause, that breathless space after the clip played, when Patel confirmed his voice. And then had nothing else to say. That silence? It went viral. News shows ran it on a loop, 30 seconds of truth and a face that couldn't lie fast enough. No commentary, no spin, just reality, raw and undeniable. In Sacramento, an elderly woman wrote her congressman for the first time in 20 years. I don't know much about law, but I know when someone's hiding something, we deserve better. In Oklahoma City, a group of college students, mostly computer science majors, launched a petition demanding transparency protocols for congressional witnesses. They weren't political. But they couldn't look away. Even inside Patel's own circles, cracks began to form. A former aide went public. Everyone knew how the system worked. You didn't need rules, you just needed winks. No one said it outright, but people began asking how many hearings had gone like this before. Just with less proof, fewer cameras, and nobody willing to push. Jasmine didn't take a victory lap. No press tour, no Sunday shows. When a reporter caught her leaving her office the next Friday, she only said, "I'm glad the truth got the microphone." That was it. But that line traveled, printed on t-shirts, added to Twitter bios, quoted in classrooms, boardrooms, comment threads at 2 a.m. Because that's the thing about these moments. They don't end when the gavel drops. They echo. They start to live in the questions people begin to ask. Questions like, why is it so easy to bury things? Who decides what counts as truth? And who's watching the people who are supposed to be watching? Somewhere in a federal building in Maryland, an internal audit was launched. Quietly, no press release. But behind closed doors, names started appearing on spreadsheets. People who sent private emails. People who received encrypted files. People who never thought anyone would check. And in a quiet apartment in D.C., Melinda Kash, the junior aide who started the avalanche, returned to her routine. She still sorted files, still passed people in the hallway who had no idea what she'd done. She didn't want attention, didn't care about cameras, she just wanted people to do their jobs, honestly. That, in the end, was enough. As for Patel, he went dark. No posts, no statements. His lawyer issued a vague press release. A misunderstanding, an overstated interpretation. No one bought it. There was talk of charges. Maybe they'd come. Maybe they wouldn't. But the real damage wasn't what happened to Patel. It was what he revealed. That power still counts on people not paying attention, still assumes if you speak long enough, loudly enough, and confidently enough, you can outrun the truth. But this time the truth caught up and it wasn't angry. It wasn't shouting. It just sat there. Documented. Time-stamped. For every Patel out there's a Jasmine, and behind her, a Melinda, and behind them, classrooms, kitchens, and cell phones, are people who still care enough to listen, to question, to press. That's where change begins. Not in shouting someone down, but in asking the question they never thought you'd dare. So if this story made you pause, even for a second, subscribe. Because we're not done watching. And we're definitely not done asking.